There's a Brazilian writer that says that what she's looking for has no name. And a lot of what we are dealing right now has no name to it. Has no name to what we are looking for. There's no name to what we are dealing with. And not being able to hashtag use as a keyword, as an algorithm, it's really hard when you go inside and you're not outside, right? And that's the biggest challenge I feel that we're facing, because we have no certain path in our lives. But at the same time, who told us that there are there is certainty in the future, in life in itself? Because what we are looking for has no name. There's no physical form to it. There's no space in between. It's something beyond. And that is the hard truth, that right now, when there's a moment that you cannot scroll anymore, or you cannot work, you cannot do something, it's because what you're in need, there's no name to it. That's why it's so hard. And she said that in a timeline where there wasn't social media yet, there wasn't internet in the way that we have it today. So this is a struggle that we have as human beings for the longest. It's not new. Maybe right now, what social media, what the media in itself is doing to us, and all these technologies truly just advancing and making it faster, the timeline between you being unaware of your needs and the time where now you're here with me and starting to actually see that you are looking to something. You are looking to answers. You are looking to a path. And that's the thing. What do we do about it? Is there something to be done? And that's what I want to talk today. That the truth path, the truthful path, maybe, is that it's when you're not doing something, when you are actually doing nothing, that you are able to start to see and seek something that has no name to it, but you are looking for. Those are the moments that you are truly, in contact with who you are. And I understand how difficult it can be to just stop for a moment and be with yourself, because there's so much distraction, and maybe there's a point to all this distraction. It's so we are finally burning out, because that's what's happening. We are burning out. Maybe there's a reason to that. Maybe there's a point to you being at the current situation that you are feeling, of exhaustion, of tiredness, of boredom, of lack of empathy and kindness with yourself. It's because you need to choose a path between actually living life and having to deal with all of this. Because I feel like it's a little difficult to say, oh, I'm in no social media. I don't want to use any social media. It's hard. It's like saying I don't want to use a refrigerator. I don't want to use, electricity. I don't want to use the internet. I don't want to use a phone in itself. It's like those things are so, you know, part of our society and part of our lives in such a way that it's hard to just get out of it. It's really hard. So maybe it's better to embrace it, but then understand that it can be a tool to actually show you the path that you need to enter. And that can mean many things. I mean, just the fact that we can have this conversation right now, it's already an evolution in human history. And even beyond history, history has a very limited timeline compared to the existence of humans. So you need to choose between just accepting that all these things exist and it's hard to get out of them, but at the same time understanding and accepting that there's more to it in in life than just living life. Because living life, a lot of it is just go by the path of society and how things are. A lot of things are out of our control, and it's hard to accept that a lot it's out of our control, it's out of our hands. But that doesn't mean that we cannot do any change, and we cannot do anything. And that is the tricky part, because for you to be able to recognize that there's nothing you can do, but still change can be done, you need to do the absolute nothing. Because nothingness brings the darkness and also bring the light. It brings the worst of you and bring the best of you. It brings all these movements, this binary things that we create to understand something bigger than binary things, yes or no, good and bad, delicious and horrible. There's something that unify all of this, that it's this coexistence of all things. But for you to be able to to start to looking to yourself and seeing yourself as a complete being, first of all, you need to look into the separation. That's why I'm mentioning you need to accept that you need your phone, you need social media in certain ways. It was thankfully for to social media that we found each other, right? This is the social media. But then at the same time, there's moments that you just need to lay down in your bed and do the absolute nothing. Just exist and just be quiet. And I'm not saying being in your phone, because if you're in your phone, you're not just being with yourself, you're doing something else, something exterior. What I mean here, it's really just stopping for a moment and being with yourself. And being, it's not easy, because you have to first look that there are two aspects of you, that you see it actually as two aspects, because it's hard for you to see yourself as a unifying being. And because you're not seeing these two aspects of you, you're trying to see only one or the other. Maybe you're trying to be too positive right now and see the world as a bright, beautiful light, which I don't think most of you are doing that, if you're watching my videos. But if you are in the other aspect, which is the tragedy of life and understanding how tragic and horrible things are, you are also realizing, oh, there's a lot of darkness and there's a lot of shadow coming out of the world. And guess what? There's a lot of shadow and darkness coming from you too. You are part of this existence. You are part of this society, so you are part of it. And it's hard to embrace our darkness when we are not looking to ourselves as a unifying being, for sure. But there's a path to it, and I feel that you can start by just, writing. You can write all the terrible things that go to your head and all the bad names and terrible things you name yourself. You can do this exercise as an active posture towards life, and really, holding life in a way that you're saying, yes, I am all these terrible things because I am human. And being human, it's bad. But then there's, the other side where things are very good. We can be very empathic, we can be very kind, we can be very lovely, we can be inspired by the existence of the universe in a way that it's really profound and beautiful. And again, it can be hard for you to look into that right now, because the darkness and the shadows are so strong and so deep. And you can read this in many ways. If you're, looking to a mystic view to things, yes, you can interpret it like that. But you can also see very logically, in terms of political climate, and how the environment is, and how we treat children, how we treat elderly people, how many people are, you know, passing hunger right now. You can look logically what I'm saying about the darkness of us as humans and the tragedy of life. And then you can also look to the bright side and how many great things humans are doing right now. But still, it is still separation. It's still one side or the other. When and we are usually facing like this. This is, let's say your face is right here. These two parts of you are looking like this, so they are never facing each other, and we can start shifting. So both sides of us are looking to each other. And this is really a cognitive shift, a cognitive change that we can have in our minds. But again, coming back to Clarice, the writer that I mentioned at the beginning, it's hard to, you know, find what we are looking for, because what we are looking for has no name. And yes, there's no name to it. There's no name. Because if you name it, then it isn't the thing that you are looking for. It's another thing. That's the the irony of it. That's the challenge of it. So what do we do about it then? As I mentioned, you can start writing it down. All the terrible things that you name yourself and you name society. But start by yourself. Name all things you name your own existence. All the horrible things you say. But then you can also look into the bright side and write it down, all the beautiful things that you are and that exist on you, and just put it all in a paper. And then you can look into the paper and see these two sides of you, and you're not gonna find unity in it, because you cannot do that. Those are two pieces of paper, right? How can you gonna do them become one? You can recycle and make a new paper, right? But that's the thing, you're not uniting, you're creating something new, and it's still a division. And the process of recycling will erase all the words that were written to create something new. And that new thing is still a division, still something else. And that's pretty much what we do all the time. We're spending time on social media, and then you come here on YouTube trying to find someone saying beautiful things or something profound that you can reflect on. But that's all still separation. There's all still particles of who we are, and those are just glimpses of what we are looking for. But what we are looking for has no name to it. So what do we do about it, right? Again, you can start by doing these exercises. It will give you, again, glimpses of clarity and consciousness of what you're looking for. And beyond that, there is truly the act of learning how to do nothing. And that exercise that I gave you, it's really one of the paths. So you're able to lay down on your bed and be with the good and the evil of you, and be able to exist in it, not be afraid of it, not try to exclude, not try to avoid, but actually just live through it, go deep in it if necessary, especially the evil. It's so hard to face our evil. It's easy to point out in others, for sure. It's even fun. It gives us a lot of pleasure to enter socials and say, oh, that political group is terrible, but what I believe is so great. It's a great feeling to have it, right? But then when you are closing your eyes and you're not with your phone, what do we do? What do you do? That's the real question. And that's the real challenge, to face and be with it and not try to escape doing binary things. Oh, I'm in my phone. Okay, now I'm gonna drink some soda. Now I'm gonna, I'm gonna take a shower. Okay, now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna play video games. Now I'm gonna work. Now I'm gonna hate my work. And now I'm gonna like my work. But then now I'm devastated on work. Now I'm tired of work. And now I'm going back to social media. Now I'm eating. And now I'm eating again. And then now I'm drinking soda. And now I'm one of, always one thing or the other, one thing or the other, trying to balance. But you are always facing the opposite sides to try to balance things out. But you don't find synergy because you're not taking time to be with yourself. When you start to really looking inwards and you start to look to yourself, then you start to realize, oh, I don't like my work, but it's because I don't take time to rest. Because I don't have time to rest. Who said that? Are you sure? If you take 10 minutes of your socials and just lay down, maybe that's a true resting that you need, but then you cannot do it because you cannot face yourself. You cannot face your reality, which is the good and the evil. And it's usually the evil that speaks out loud in these moments, and that's why it's so hard to rest, you know? And then we can also question, what is the real good? Because good, it's not specific hormones that happens in your brain when you drink soda, when you're on your phone, when you're using drugs. Those are chemicals. They are tricking you to look into something that you might think is the good, but is it? So does that mean that then it's the evil? Not really. Maybe it's something in between them. But what is the good? Can you look into a cow and describe the cow as a color? What color is a cow? Now, what about a kitten, you know, or a little dog? What is the movement, the body movement that will represent a little dog? And then, what is yellow as a sound? You see? These things are a little closer to the real good. And now I ask, what is you if represented by a movement? What is you if represented by a sound? What is the most beautiful and funny memory of you if represented by a color? You see? We're getting closer to the real good of us. And these are all, cognitive exercises that we can do. And then you might ask, how do you know these things? Well, because I'm also trying to face the good and the evil on me. And there's a lot of tools that I start to discover, And I think that's the beauty of social media, because a lot of it I'm learning on socials with people like me that are just seekers. We're just trying to figure it out, People that don't want to be a guru, that don't want to be, something like that. Because a lot of us, at least I like to believe that, but what I can say to myself, like I don't believe in gurus. I think right now you're listening to me, and then at some point you're gonna find other people, and maybe we'll find each other again at some point. But like at the end, the truth, the guru, the teacher, the guidance that you need, it's inside of you. It's again when you lay in your bed and you close your eyes and there's no distraction. Those are the real teachers. Like this is the moment in between these teachings, but the real teaching happens when you are with you, not with me. You know? So be careful. Be careful. Careful there. There's a lot of wolves trying to grab you by the neck. So be careful. I saw a lot of them already, through my years. And then, going back to Clarice Lispector, what I'm looking for has no name. And something that we cannot name, it's very unsettling. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to embrace it, it's hard to feel it. But you can actually feel it. You can actually embrace it. And again, start by looking to the evil of you. Like, what is the color of this evil? Mine is pink right now. But then, what is the color of your gratitude? Mine is a bright, silky yellow. What if I combine both of these things? What color, appears? And for some reason, I see purple. And then you might think, well, if you mix pink and yellow, there's no purple to it. Well, I agree. But there's no logic into what I'm saying. At least the intention is not to, find logic. It's really to find emotion, to find, a deeper perception, that it doesn't go too much in the mind. That's why I see purple. And I'm happy with it. I'm not happy. I am content with it as purple. What about you? Have you ever thought of it? If you had, then you didn't do the exercise because you're thinking. But have you experienced it? If you have experienced, then you might see a color. So at the end, or at the beginning of it, there's truly no answer because there's no name to it. But maybe there is a movement, there is an action, there is a color, there is a feeling, there's a sensation, there's a smell. Try to seek those. And then you will start to really see that the answer lies within these parts of you. I wrote it today. Something is about to happen in my life, and I need to slow down so I can rest, so I can prepare myself to it. Because I have the feeling that something big is gonna happen, something good, something work related especially, but there's a lot of, personal things also happening that are really good. But at the same time, I'm looking and dealing with so much darkness and evilness from inside of me that wants to, show up and speak out loud and have a moment to be present and exist. That it's been hard days. It's been hard days, because I don't think anyone will say, oh, I'm having a beautiful and such a calm moment because I'm dealing with all my shadows and evilness. No, that's that's not really usually how it happens. You can find contentment and you can find peace, for sure. But being happy with it, it's a little tricky. But you can find irony. It can be ironic, right? And that's why it can be funny. But happiness is a little different. Happiness again is like, what's the color of a cow? And think of that. That's more of it, more of happiness, true happiness, right? But then dealing with all of these shadows, and as you might be dealing with it too, you know that it's hard. I don't need to tell you, you experienced the harshness of it. But you can also try to be content. You can try to be in peace with the fact that things are hard. Things are not going to change right now, but they are pretty soon. so you can prepare yourself. And prepare means lay down, close your eyes, and deal with it. Look to your shadows, look into your darkness, and be with it. Do the exercise, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. Every word, pronoun, you know, every single thing that you call yourself. And just write it down. And then see how you feel afterwards. Start by that. Something that I like to finish is, saying that even though logic can be a tool and can be great to help you navigate the world, sometimes even the logical aspects of life, they will not seem logic. And you can rest on it, because if there's no logic, what are you going to do about it then? In other words, there are problems that we cannot solve by ourselves. We have to face it, and we can do it by resting. That's the best thing we can do. And I hope you can rest a bit, okay? Even if it's just a second. Maybe someday you will be able to rest 10 minutes, and then an hour, and maybe 2-3 hours. I hope someday I can do 3 hours. It will be fabulous, but not right now. But maybe one day. We can keep the hope together. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and comment, so we can keep the conversation going, okay? I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Bye bye.